I used to think betrayal felt like a slap. Sudden, sharp, unforgettable. But when my father told me I wasn't his daughter, it didn't feel like a slap. It felt like silence. Like a room full of people hearing the words and pretending they didn't. Like an eraser being dragged across everything I thought I was. It started the day of my graduation. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Not high school, that milestone they barely acknowledged. Not college, the one they skipped because my sister had a spa weekend. No, this was my master's degree, something I fought tooth and nail to get while working 2 jobs, tutoring ungrateful students, and eating microwaved rice 5 nights a week. The auditorium was packed. My name was called. I stepped on stage in heels I'd bought secondhand and a gown I borrowed from a friend. I smiled. I waved. I looked to the crowd, scanning for them. I didn't see them. Not my mother's nervous smile. Not my dad's proud eyes. Not even my sister's forced applause. After the ceremony, I finally saw them near the parking lot. My father was leaned against the car, arms crossed like a man waiting for a dry cleaner, not his daughter's academic moment. My mom was on her phone. My sister was scrolling Instagram. "Hey," I said, hugging my degree scroll like it was armor. He didn't look up. "You done with all that now?" "All that?" I asked. He sighed. "Look, I'm just saying, it's not like a piece of paper changes anything. You're still, well, you know." He laughed to himself. I stared. "Still what?" And then it came. "Still not mine." The words didn't register at first. I thought he was joking, cruelly, distastefully, but joking. But then my mother looked up, and she didn't deny it. "I told you not to bring that up here," she hissed, low enough for strangers not to hear, loud enough for me to crumble. "What are you talking about?" My voice was barely a whisper. My sister sighed. "Oh, God, not this again." But I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My father looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You were already 2 months along when I met your mom. I raised you, but don't think that means you get to claim a piece of my legacy." I felt the ground tilt beneath me. I wasn't his daughter? All the birthdays he forgot, the missed recitals, the cold distance, the way he smiled warmer at my sister than he ever did at me. It all clicked. Like someone had pulled the curtain and finally let the rot in the walls show. "You waited until now?" I choked out. "Until the day I graduate to tell me this?" He shrugged. "Wouldn't have changed anything." And he was right, not because I accepted it, but because he had already decided I didn't matter. Long ago. I walked away. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't cry. Not there. I waited until I got back to the tiny apartment I paid for myself, the one he refused to co-sign on. I sat in the shower, fully clothed, as water poured down like it could rinse off 24 years of lies. And then, silence again. Days passed. No calls, no texts, not even a half-hearted apology. That was when I made a decision. If I wasn't his daughter, I would no longer act like it. I wouldn't beg for scraps of love. I wouldn't chase crumbs of approval. I would cut them off, clean, and disappear from the life they thought they controlled. But fate wasn't done playing with me. A month later, my grandfather died. My father's father. The only one who ever treated me like I mattered. Grandpa Charles. The man who taught me to read, who built a bookshelf with me from scratch, and called me his little professor. He always said, "You've got fire in you, kid. Never let them smother it." The funeral was small. My father gave a dull eulogy. My sister cried loud enough for everyone to notice. I just stood there, holding a rose, numb. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. But then the lawyer approached me quietly, after the service. "There's a private letter for you," he said, "and I think you should read it alone." When I got home, I opened it. "My fire starter," it began. I cried right then. "I know what they've told you, but I knew the truth long before you did. I saw the way he looked at you, and the way you still gave him love anyway. That's character. That's strength. I've left behind something, for you alone. It's in my will. The others think it's for them, but I made sure the wording kept them blind. You'll understand everything soon. Just know this. I chose you, because you were never just a granddaughter. You were the only legacy I ever truly wanted. I stared at the paper until the ink blurred through tears. He knew everything. But what did he mean? The others think it's for them? I didn't have to wait long. 2 weeks later, the will was read aloud. The estate, the stocks, the land, everything. At first, the lawyer read a portion that seemed standard. My estate shall be divided between my children and their children. My father smirked. My sister clutched her pearls like she'd won the lottery. With primary control and final say granted to the beneficiary listed in Addendum C. Everyone froze. What's Addendum C? My father asked. The lawyer unfolded the sealed page. The controlling beneficiary, he read, is my granddaughter, the only one who ever earned the right to carry the family name, Aurora. My father stood. What the hell does that mean? It means, the lawyer said, she gets to decide how everything is split, or not split at all. My sister's jaw dropped. I sat, still as a statue. I didn't ask for this. I didn't expect this. But maybe, just maybe, I needed it. To heal, to rise, to give them the only gift they'd understand, the kind that stings, the kind they'll never forget. I didn't speak during the will reading. I didn't smirk. I didn't gloat. I just sat there, letting the words settle like dust on a long-forgotten shelf. My father kept pacing, disbelief written in every angry step. My sister looked like someone had stolen her wedding fund, and my mother, she wouldn't even look at me. Aurora, the lawyer said gently, you're not obligated to take immediate action. But as controlling beneficiary, you'll need to sign some documents regarding the estate's distribution, or retraction. Retraction? My father snapped. What retraction? He said, divided between his children. She can't take everything. The lawyer raised an eyebrow. Actually, she can. Addendum C supersedes all other clauses. Mr. Charles knew exactly what he was doing. I stood quietly. My legs felt weightless. Thank you, I said, ignoring the furious stares around me. I'll be in touch. And I walked out. No one followed. But I didn't go home right away. I went to my grandfather's property, the one with the lake, the old guest house, and the massive field where he used to say, one day, you'll plant something that no one can uproot. I unlocked the gates with the code only he and I shared. It had been weeks, but everything still smelled like him, oak wood and pipe smoke and wild mint. I sat on the porch swing, the very one we used to rock on every summer evening. I read his letter again, twice. Each word a balm and a match at the same time. This wasn't about money. It was about worth. About being seen, finally, as more than a backup character in someone else's family drama. Over the next few days, the calls began. First, it was my sister. Hey, Rory. Listen, she said in that fake sweet voice she always used when she wanted something. I was thinking we should maybe meet up. You know, to talk about Grandpa's estate. I mean, I have a lot of ideas on how to keep it in the family. You're not, really gonna take it all, right? That wouldn't be fair. I didn't respond. Next came my mother. Aurora, honey, we raised you. This isn't how we do things. We share. Your grandfather clearly meant for everyone to benefit. No, I wanted to scream. He meant for me to choose, because none of you ever chose me. Then came my father. Aurora, he said, voice cold. Don't be stupid. That property, that land, it's been in our family for generations. Don't let some spiteful old man turn you against your blood. I nearly laughed. Wasn't it him who had said I wasn't his blood? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I called the lawyer and requested full legal control be transferred immediately. Every document, every deed, every trust. And when it was done, I sent out one group email. It read, "As per Addendum C, I now hold full authority over Grandpa Charles's estate, assets, and distribution. After reviewing the history of conduct, familial involvement, and intent behind the will, I have decided the following. The lake house will be turned into a retreat for foster children pursuing higher education. The family home will be donated to a women's shelter in Grandpa's name. The farmland will be leased to a local nonprofit that provides free produce to underserved communities. No funds or assets will be granted to immediate family members. This decision is final. Aurora." I turned off my phone. 3 hours later, someone was banging on my apartment door. I didn't answer. The voice on the other side was frantic. My father's. "You ungrateful brat! You think this makes you better than us? You think this is what he wanted? He's rolling in his grave." No, I thought. He's smiling in his sleep. I gave them 2 days to scream into the void, to spiral, to let the weight of what they never valued finally crush the fantasy that they were untouchable. Then I took it further. I sold the cars, all 3 of them, the vintage one my dad was sure was his, the SUV my sister was already test driving in her head, and the convertible my mother always bragged about inheriting. I auctioned off every collectible, every antique, every diamond they thought would glitter in their future. And I donated 80% of the profits to literacy programs for girls in low-income areas because he believed in my brain before anyone else ever did. The other 20%? I used it to create a scholarship in his name, only for students estranged from their families. My lawyer advised I keep security at the estate in case they showed up. They did. The day I arrived to host the first group of foster teens at the lake house, my sister was waiting by the gate. She was crying, or pretending to. "You ruined us," she said. "Dad's drinking again. Mom barely gets out of bed. You tore this family apart." "No," I said calmly, stepping through the gate. "I just stopped letting you pretend it was whole." "You're doing this out of spite." "No," I repeated, slower this time. "I'm doing this because Grandpa saw something in me no one else ever did. And I'm not wasting it on people who only see me when I have something to give." She reached for my arm, desperate. "Please, just something. A piece. I'm your sister." I looked at her, the girl who laughed when my father told me I wasn't his, who called me dramatic when I cried in the bathroom, who said nothing when I was erased at every holiday table. "You were my sister," I said. "But when you laughed that day, when you watched him break me, that was the day you gave up that title." I left her there, at the gate, on the outside looking in, exactly where they always kept me. And I smiled, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't begging to belong. I was standing in the home they never thought I'd own, surrounded by kids who finally had someone to believe in them. I had turned every insult into investment, every scar into structure, every silence into a shelter. And they had nothing left to take. Months passed. The leaves turned golden around the lake house, and the wind no longer howled like grief. It sang, soft and full of peace. The retreat for foster teens was thriving. The first group had left handwritten thank you letters tucked under their pillows. One said, "No one's ever told me I was smart before." Another said, "This is the first time I slept in a bed that didn't come with fear." I kept every note in a drawer beside my grandfather's letter. Some mornings I'd sit by the dock with coffee and watch the sunrise, wondering if he could see me, wondering if this was what he meant when he said I'd plant something that couldn't be uprooted. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. But the quiet didn't last forever. One morning in late autumn, I received an official notice. My father had filed a petition to contest the will. I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed. He hadn't tried to apologize. Not once. He hadn't reached out with remorse. He hadn't even tried to lie sweetly the way my mother had once done. No. He went straight to a courtroom trying to claw back a legacy he'd never earned. I showed up to the hearing in a charcoal suit, no makeup, hair tied back. I didn't need to perform. The truth would speak loud enough. He was already seated at the front, his lawyer beside him, a smug-looking man who clearly thought this would be easy. My sister sat behind them, arms crossed, like this was some twisted stage play, and she expected a standing ovation at the end. The judge entered. The session began. My father's lawyer stood, cleared his throat, and said, "Your Honor, my client asserts that the will was modified under undue influence, that Miss Aurora James manipulated her grandfather in his final days, exploiting his vulnerability for financial gain." I didn't flinch. The judge looked at me. "Miss James, do you have a response?" I stood. "Yes, Your Honor, I do." And then I took a deep breath. My grandfather wasn't vulnerable. He was sharp until his last breath. He knew what he saw and what he didn't see, especially in the people sitting across from me now. He wasn't manipulated. He was finally honest. I walked slowly to the evidence stand and held up the letter. This is a handwritten note from my grandfather, dated and sealed by his estate attorney. It outlines exactly why he made the decision he did, not out of emotion, but because of years of quiet observation. I passed the letter to the court clerk. The judge read it silently, then nodded. "My client would like to speak," my father's lawyer said suddenly. The judge allowed it. My father stood. "Aurora," he said, voice more tired than angry this time. "You don't understand. He was old. He was confused. And you were always different. I didn't want to hurt you, but I had to draw a line somewhere. You weren't mine." "Stop," I interrupted, calm but firm. "You made that line the moment you told me I wasn't your daughter. You erased me, and now you want to claim what I was never good enough for? You can't cut me out and then ask me to stitch you back in." The courtroom went silent. The judge cleared her throat. After reviewing the will, the handwritten statement, and the timeline, I find no evidence of undue influence. Miss James remains the sole controlling beneficiary of the estate. Case dismissed. My father sank back in his seat. My sister muttered something under her breath. I didn't look at either of them. I walked out of the courtroom and never looked back. But I wasn't done yet. I had one last thing to deliver. The gift he'd regret forever. A few weeks later, I invited my mother and father to lunch. Neutral ground. A public cafe. No shouting, no drama. They came, surprisingly. My mother looked exhausted. My father was stiff, eyes cold. I didn't order food. I placed a small envelope on the table. "What's this?" My father grunted. "Read it," I said. Inside was a contract, legally binding, prepared by my lawyer. It stated that my father and mother would sign away any future claims to my name, my business, or any part of the estate. In exchange, I would do one thing. I would legally change my last name. Not out of shame, but out of clarity. "I'm not a James," I said. "Not to you, so I'm not keeping it." My father blinked. "I'll be taking Grandpa's mother's name instead. Eleanor Eastwood, that's who I'm choosing. A woman who built something from nothing, just like I am." They were speechless. "But that's not all," I continued. "There's one more clause." I pointed to the final page. "If you sign this document, you'll receive a check, not from the estate, from me. Personally. $1 each." My mother's face twisted. "Is this a joke?" "Number. It's closure. I'm giving you exactly what you gave me, the bare minimum." They didn't sign, so I stood up and walked away. That was the last time I ever saw them. I changed my name 2 months later, Aurora Eastwood, and under that name, I launched a foundation, the Firestarter Fund, for students cast out by their families, abandoned after loss, or denied a place at the table. The same kind of students I had once been. We gave out our first full-ride scholarship on my birthday. To a girl named Naomi, 17, foster care survivor, studying architecture. I handed her the award in front of a packed room. She cried. I almost did too. "You're gonna build something no one can tear down," I told her. She smiled. "I will." And in that moment, I knew. This was the legacy Grandpa wanted. Not a house, not a car, not a name carved in granite, but something alive, Something loud, something unstoppable. He gave me the match, and I made sure the fire never died. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.